Hello, welcome to Monday Morning Matters live broadcast show brought to you by Magnicraft Consulting team, anchored by Niyi Dunmade, a certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting in the U.S. Here, each Monday of every week, we address important, relevant, and actionable topics of interest that will help you and your church grow healthier. And now, meet your host, Niyi Dunmade.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. I am bringing greetings all the way from Abuja. Welcome everyone to this live broadcast, and thank you for hooking up to the first Monday Morning Matters. We are so glad you are part of this broadcast. We are so glad that you are coming to hook up with the first Monday morning broadcast for the year. In the next 20 minutes, we're going to be looking at some critical trends that we should watch out for in 2020. Critical trends we should watch out for in 2020. My name is Niyi Dunmade. I'm the certified church consultant with the Society for Church Consulting, also the founder and the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. We help churches grow healthier through empirical assessment and strategic blueprint. So today we're going to just look at some church trends that I have observed. I've listened to some pastors, including some of my mentors, and then I'm going to tell you what to expect so that you should be able to strategize well for 2021. Okay? Now, the first thing I want to just say is that please, this year will be more interacting. So please feel free to send in your questions, send in your comments. Please do me a favor to share this video with a church worker, a church leader. I've done quite a lot of planning for 2021 with a lot of topics. Okay, a lot of topics this year. We're going to talk about churchlessness, biblical churchmanship, a lot of issues on church growth, barriers, structure, evangelism, discipleship. So we have quite a lot this year, and I'm going to be using a lot of my channel. So please feel free to hook up with any of our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, on Instagram, on Telegram. If you can search on Magnicraft Consulting on Telegram, okay? On YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We did quite a lot of videos in 2020. You can go back to, I'm not going to repeat quite a lot of things we shared in 2020. This year will be some new, deeper things, and we're going to see how we can extend it to 20 minutes so that we can go deep into what we need to go into briefly. Okay, so please share this video, and I'm sure it's going to help. A lot of church pastors are really overwhelmed. A lot of them are having some great concerns, especially the ones who have so much pride in the attendance, in the kind of magnitude, big givings that is going on, and you are facing with a lot of decline. So their egos has been bruised. So we need to see how we can get our churches to be healthier. Okay, so the number one thing I will want to emphasize here is momentum. Momentum and motivation has gone from our churches. Okay, when I mean momentum, the excitement, the motivation to do things without being supervised, without being coerced. In fact, one of my mentors who spoke to me that the things he's seeing in churches right now, I wish I can read these charts to you, is really overwhelming. There are some things, some trends some traits rather, that pastors are seeing from their church members that they have never seen that trait in their entire pastoral career. So we need to understand that because of the pandemic, because of the crisis in economy, people are going to lose their jobs, people are going to have marital crisis, people are going to have mental issues. So the momentum that you usually see when you call people for evangelism, you have a crowd. When you call for major big events, big day event, you see a crowd. So momentum and motivation has reduced. So we need to do a lot of hard work to get people, to get volunteers, especially to be motivated. A lot of church staff are really strained right now because there's a big chunk of volunteers withdrawing from the plow, and so more of the work is really on the field, and we need to create that hard work to motivate more people to get back into attending services, doing what they need to do as volunteers, and so that the church can actually continue from where we stopped in 2020. Okay, so let's see how your church can have a strategy around increasing motivation, increasing momentum. Okay, people are really at their lowest end right now. The COVID-19 is really hitting hard. My former VC, Professor Ibidapo Obe, died of COVID-19. A lot of people, we need to really see how to raise the morale of people by giving them hope, and the Holy Spirit is there to see how we can comfort everyone and raise the hope of our congregation. The second point I'm going to talk on has to do with negative trends in bad habits. Because of the lockdown, because of people are not coming frequently to church anymore, you're going to see a lot of negative trends in bad habits. Some bad habits are imbibed. Okay, people will, because of the lockdown, they've imbibed some very negative habits. Okay, and the infrequency of attendance that we had before pre-COVID is as worsening issues. So when you have somebody who is coming twice a month or once a month, you now find out that the lockdown has made the person to go on the smartphone to hook up with the service. So those trends have created some bad habits in attendance, in commitments from volunteers, in commitment from volunteers, and we need to make sure that we watch out for those negative trends, so that those, especially from leaders, so that negative trend does not permeate and people now say that that's the culture of the church, or that's what is acceptable in the church. So because of the lockdown, people are finding it difficult. Okay, instead of going to church, I can sit down at home and attend church. So negative trends in some and that bad habit is relative to your church. What bad habits have your church members imbibed because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown? And let's see how we can address those things as we dive on into 2021. The third one I'm going to talk on is uncertainty remains for a while. Okay, 4,500 CEOs did a survey last year. I'll put that download link in the show notes later. 4,500 CEOs in the US did a survey. That's the best 500 CEOs of the world, and they did a survey. And one of the questions that was asked them was, when do you think normalcy will come? In fact, a lot of them feel that normalcy will never come, because this is not just an interruption, it's a disruption. Okay, COVID-19 just didn't come to interrupt, it came to disrupt. So we may not go back to normal. Temperature checking in our churches might not stop. Washing of hands might not stop. In fact, from that survey of Fortune 500 CEOs, 52.4% says normalcy will not come back until first quarter 2022. About more than 25 of them says normalcy will not come back, will not get back to normal daily life till first quarter of 2023. In fact, when there's a pandemic, like the pandemic they had in 1918, it went on to 2.5 years before there was some form of normal life, in quotes. So this pandemic, and that's why as pastors, you don't throw all your weight, you don't throw all your arsenals, because this pandemic is not something that it's like malaria. Okay, it comes after 3 weeks, it's gone. It might linger on for 2-3 years. So take your life easy, take your church easy. Uncertainty remains for a while. In fact, the vaccine, we are thinking that it's so fast, there's a lot of repercussion for some. So we need to understand that uncertainty remains for a while. Uncertainty remains for a while. And I'm going to do a webinar. And if you want to be part of that webinar, and it's a Zoom meeting, you can chat up with me. It's a 1-hour webinar on leading change in difficult times. Leading change in difficult times. One thing about leadership I found out is that leadership is about making change, taking people from one point to another. Okay, leading change in difficult times. Just a 1-hour webinar broadcast, and that will be done before the end of January. Once you are interested, let me know through the chat notes, and I'm going to send you that link. Okay, and then number four, worsening health of church leaders. In fact, one of the churches I consulted for, okay, because of the withdrawal of volunteers, there's a lot of workload on the church leaders and staff. And because of that, it's stretching them, it's stressing them. They are getting exhausted. Okay, making calls around the clock. It's stressful. It's creating a lot of burnout. It's creating a lot of fatigue. And for someone like me, I want to take things easy. When it's time for you to sleep, make sure you have some good sleep. When it's time for you to eat, make sure you have some good diet. If you don't have a good timetable for food, meet a diet coach to give you some form of, because what is healthy for me might not be healthy for you. Because we are all different: blood group, genotype, DNA, genetic makeup. We are all different. So what is good for you might not be good for me. So meet a diet coach. Let him give you some form of basics so that you can be, as much as your spiritual life is healthy, your God has paid, and your spiritual life is recreated, is rejuvenated, but your mind needs to make sure that it's alert. Your body needs to make sure that it's alert. So your soul and your body is very, very important. Take care of your health, take care of your body, take care of your mind, expose yourself, educate yourself, make sure that you get the right, because the truth about it is that if you are not properly fed, there's no how you can feed other people. If you are not in the right frame of mind, there's no how you can put the church in proper perspective in terms of their mindset for God. So let's watch out against stress, burnout, fatigue, and all kinds of stretch on our capacity as leaders in the church. Then the fifth one I'm going to talk is facing more challenges in church decline. Mind you, if you're part of my church retention matter class, I made very clear on how infrequency of attendance is actually giving some form of downward in average attendance. Now, infrequency of attendance is going to get worse, okay? As long as a pandemic is increasing, there will be a dip in your attendance, and that's why 2021 should be your new baseline. Your new baseline in terms of, you can't begin to compare year in, year out with 2020 and 2019. So facing more challenges with church decline, and you have to develop the traits and the futures to lead. In fact, that's what Pastor Greg in last year said. He said leading through the deep. Okay, you are so used to leading through through growth phases, but you are not used to leading through declines, through the deep. So when there are dips, what do? What you do when the church is growing is different from when the church is declining. So we need to understand that we'll be facing more challenges in church declines, and let us see how we can position ourselves as church leaders to get ourselves to do something worthwhile to help the church in those declines. When I mean declines in giving, decline because the three things that we usually measure: box, and building. Our buildings are not occupied anymore because of declines in attendance. Givings have reduced because of the economic crunch. So we need to understand that those numbers are going to be affected by the declines, and that's something we need to look out for. The sixth one has to do with change, innovation, and technology got accelerated by crisis. Okay, the crisis has actually made a lot of things, and I told you about the webinar, leading change in difficult times. You see, people are not against change, they are against the way change is forced on them. So, but crisis has a way of forcing a change, and there's no how you can throw your anger on the crisis, because the crisis is just divine, or is nature inflicted. So change and innovation and technology got accelerated by crisis. God accelerated by crisis. I want to look at that critically in that webinar. I don't talk much on this because crisis is an accelerator. 2020 for me, after I got certified as a church consultant, crisis actually brought out, accelerated a lot of my giftings, a lot of my talent, a lot of the things that were deposited inside of me. Okay, so crisis actually makes you to develop some adaptable skills, survivor skills. What do I do when there's no money? What do I do if the number of volunteers I'm relying on does not show up in one service? What do I do? What do I do in this scenario, in that scenario? Because the truth about it is that what will go wrong will surely go wrong. And when something goes wrong, what are you going to do? So crisis usually comes to make sure that we are not depending on ourselves, and we look up to God to help us through those crises. Lastly, we're going to talk on the resistance around changes crumbles. The resistance around changes crumbles. The resistance around changes crumbles. One of the things I want to say here is that the fact that you have started a new year does not mean that things have changed. You have entered 2021 does not mean that your church has changed. You have entered 2021 does not mean that your church leadership or structure and systems have changed. They actually have not changed. So the resistance around change has crumbled. There's still a lot of disruption. And the more you understand what kind of disruptions that is going on in your system, in your church, the more proactive you can be to address some of those disruptions in your church. Is that okay? So those are the 7 church trends I'm just telling you so that you can be able to watch out for in 2021. Okay, so please feel free to hook up with me. One of the things that I also want to wrap up here is that let's start up on a new slate. Let's start up on a new slate and get some baseline for 2021. Let's one pastor has it like it's like a reset, a hard reset. Okay, let's do a proper auditing. What are the things that are working? What are the ministries that are working? What are the systems that are working? What are the activities that are working? What are the things? Because when you are in crisis, you actually must maintain the things that are essentials. The things that are essentials for your church. Okay? Focus on what really matters. When there's crisis, you have to focus on what really matters. Okay? Tension produces creativity, because the truth about it is that when you are under pressure, it actually brings out some form of innovation in your church. Lastly, what I want to just say is the message, your mission does not change because there's a crisis. Okay? It does not change because there's a crisis, but your method must change. You must be able to ask yourself, how am I going to adapt to make sure that I am relevant in 2021? What am I going to do to make an impact in the community? Because the truth about it, crisis can force you to be inwardly focused, but you have to be intentional and deliberate to look outwards, because your survival is in looking outward into the community to become a salt and a light to the community as a whole. I want to wrap up here. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your attention so far. Please share this video on social medias to any church worker, and I know that they will be glad you did. Thank you for allowing me to come to your space. I love what I'm doing. Make sure you have me in your instant messenger to chat with me. Let's see how we can get some people to questions to answer some of your questions. Go to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then please feel free to share some of this content to your church leaders, and I know they will be glad with it. So thank you for allowing me to come to your space. I'm Niyi Dunmade. I'm the founder and the CEO of Magnicraft Consulting. Thank you for allowing me to come to you. Thank you very much. I love you. I would love to hear from you. God bless you.